Hey there, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations. Today we're discussing all things exit plans and what you need to have organized to get yours in place for your business. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Coaching Conversations. Today it's another sunny Monday, and we're talking all things exit plans for your business. Have you never considered doing an exit plan or creating an exit strategy for your business? You might want to pay attention to this one. Before we jump in, Nick, how are you this morning?
I'm doing very well. I've got a backyard that looks like it's chaos because I've got machines digging away and doing what they do, and
Good.
plumbers and all of that stuff. So, which is cool. But
Very good.
yeah, it's a sunny day, like you said, man, and it's going to be a good week.
It is going to be a good week.
Yep.
Why are we wanting to talk about exit plans today, Nick? What spurred this on? What's the thought behind wanting to discuss this?
Well, yeah, look, I was just thinking, I mean, we do a lot of planning for a lot of stuff. A lot of the times you don't do any planning for our life. What do we do after your work, or what can you do during work so you're not always working all the time? And it kind of got me thinking, about an exit plan. And most people have got this fear around exit plan. Oh God, what do you mean I've got to stop working? Or what do you mean I'm going to sell the business? Or what do you like? It's all of this stuff. But the reality of it is we also get businesses that are due for retirement, or they've just done enough. They've been building it for 25 years and they just want out. There's other things to life than just working. We all know that. So and for me, exit planning isn't just predominantly I'm exiting the business. It could be just exiting working in the business all the time.
Right.
So I want to talk about those two sort of concepts. Think exit plan, during the business journey, and then exit plan post business journey.
Right. So it's about exiting the business owner per se in some way, shape, or form. It's not like leaving it or selling it. It could be, hey, how do I free myself from being there all the time? Okay.
Yeah. So let's start here. First of all, I think you've got to start with the why. Simon Sinek said, start with the why, not the what, not the how or the if, but start with the why. And I'm going to put a statement here: why you must do it, not why you should consider it, why you must plan an exit, right? Because if you're not, it's the same as not preparing for accounts at the end of the financial year, or it's not preparing for contracts when you're with somebody. You don't go, I'll maybe think about it. You go, I must do this because there's consequences. It's exactly the same here. If you don't have an exit plan in place, there's going to be consequences. A, it means that the business is all stuck all around you, and that's not a good thing if you want to sell it. Or B, God forbid something happens to you. That's not a good thing. And, we were just talking just before in our meeting where one of the clients is working, 100 hours a week. So to me,
like 95 hours a week.
95 hours a week, whatever it was. Yeah, so you've got to start to think about the why. Why is that you do it? So, and here's the way that I think about it. This is not the world according to Nick, but you can anyone listening to this can put their big boy and big girl pants on and think for themselves, right? But the goal here is, I think the why is about saying that originally when you put your business together, you put it together because A, you're passionate for business. And to be honest, you're actually more passionate about what you do. And that's why you've put your business together around that. If you're a plumber, you love what you do and you want to do more of that. I was talking to an auto electrician that's doing up my caravan, and his daughter came and after school and met us, and she's like in year 7 or year 8 or something. He goes, I can see, her passion in what she does, and she loves, dancing and all that stuff. And then his son's 4, and he goes, I got him a little tool belt, and he's out with me all the time near the caravan, near the boat. And he had this smile on his face. And I said, oh, what's that about? He goes, oh, I'm hoping that he takes this up, he could take up this trade, or, he's interested in, I've got a son, obviously. And so you've got 2 boys, it's that whole sort of part around it to be able to also say, well, originally when you got the business, was it all just about working in it all the time? And what do you do post business? Because there's still a life that you got to figure it out. I mean, let's say even if you worked till 65 or 70 or whatever, today 70 is the new 60 or whatever it is, So you've got a lot of life left in you. So you've got to start to think about it. So the why is, are you jeopardizing your business because it's all just based around you all the time working in it, and B, the why is, what else have you thought about post this? What happens next? Have you got a big enough reason why your world isn't just about working? Because I know people that are just addicted to work. Like people are addicted to drugs, they're addicted to work.
It's all they've ever done, right? So, if their business has been around for 3, 4, 10, 20 years, it's just part of their routine now, part of the habit of
Well,
the same sort
it's
of thing
interesting.
going to work.
Suicide rates go up for people that are 65 and retired about 800 times more than just the day before they were retired. Because now they've given up on. They feel that they're not needed anymore, and you can check out these stats. It's alarming. Wow. Within 6 months, the suicide rates of like CEOs and people that are just in business that thought they were going to retire and couldn't. They can't hack life. They don't have a reason. They don't do whatever. Why? Because they haven't prepped to what's coming. They know it's coming. Most people dread it because owning a business or having a job gives you a purpose, right? There's something that you're going to. It's much more so than the money. There's a reason why you do it. So once again, with this, it's a part of running your business is exit planning. So you're not always working in the business. You can start working on it. So that's the why part of it.
Okay, good. What's next?
Step 2 is, I think you've really got to start to think about what does it look like? Because, you can't go from working, this guy 95 hours a week to working 20. Like it's physically impossible.
Yeah.
God forbid, unless you've had an injury and you got to work, from your couch, right? So you've got to think about what does it look like? What does it look like in your business? One of the grounds that I try to set with companies is to go, how about if you could work 4 days in the business and worked 1 day off? How could you maybe do 30 hours of productive work and 10 hours of productive work, but on the business? And 30 hours is still a lot. It's like 6 hours a day, 5 days a week. You might do 35 hours and work 10, so 45-hour week all up, give or take. Because I don't know anyone that does 38 hours. It's government bludgeoning employees do that stuff, right? But for entrepreneurs, and when you really think about it, you're probably spending a lot of time dicking around doing not that much, right? So you're filling in your day with other stuff that could have been done. So I think what it looks like is important. And you might go, hey, over the next 2 years, I want to back off every Friday at lunchtime. I'm done. And I'll take the weekend off. Right. And that's a good plan, right? That could go within the next 3 months or whatever. I need to set the business up so I do everything. And that means maybe you need to work back a little later on Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night to do what you need to do. So whichever way it is, if you start planning it like that, it's cool. Second part, I think you got to start to get used to changing the cycle in your holidays. And we've spoken about this, Chris. A lot of people, like let's say in trade and construction, have a scenario where they do 50 weeks on and 2 weeks off. 48 weeks on and 4 weeks off. If they're working through Christmas usually, or they're working through Easter or whatever, and they go, it's a 48-4 ratio, give or take. And that's if you're lucky. Most people are going to take 2 weeks off in Christmas and you're back into it. So 50 weeks on, 2 weeks off. And that's been their cycle forever. Where maybe, preparing for the exit plan would be, how do I have a long weekend every month? Every 90 days. Yep. I mean, you can do it every month, but every 90 days. So every 90 days, you're taking 4 days off, maybe 5 days off. So it might be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, come back Tuesday. So you're not too far away from the business at any given point of time. And that you're still, it's 1 week, and if you need to hop on the phone, hop on a computer, or do whatever you can, right? So and that could be something like that. Now, if you've got some fear around being away and I can't, we'll just base your holidays, even if it's it's a 2-hour drive from where you are, and if you need to get back and it's urgent and the wheel's falling off, and you can come on back and do whatever you need to do.
Well, I was about to ask that question because this is something that I practice and push my clients as well. From a work week ratio, why can't you have three-day weekend once a month, once every 90 days? Like, it's up to you to plan that. We can obviously reverse engineer that and build the workflow or the workload around that 3-day weekend. But some of the pushback I get, and I've had clients that have gone, yep, great, set it up, and then something, falls apart on the Thursday afternoon, which forces them to kind of have to stay back on the Friday, or they even have to work Saturday, which completely ruins everything.
That's
So
that's a really good point.
how do you overcome that situation?
Yeah, I think in your planning, I mean, that's a great point. In your planning, you've also got to have a redundancy system. Like,
Right.
think about it. The aircraft doesn't fall out of the sky because, I don't know, one hydraulic line doesn't work.
Yeah.
They got redundancy systems built in,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not getting out and pushing. At the end of the day, it's going to be, catastrophic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in saying that, does shit happen? Shit happens. It's part of it. So in the in the exit planning, if you're going to do that, you need to also have a backup in some way, shape, or form, either to plan for that and go, hey, look, I'm going to give myself a buffer around those areas. So I'll go away on Thursday. Tuesday's kind of a deadline cutoff for any dramas or whatever it is, and the next Tuesday would be when you're back at work. So you can give yourself kind of a day or two to go. If the shit hits the fan, I'm still okay for the Thursday. Think along those lines. Number two would be, how do you have somebody involved within that exit plan in order for them to take up, the baton if something doesn't go according to plan, and
That's
somebody else can step up to the plate, so to speak.
That's a good option. Having your 2IC or a second in command, whatever it is going to be, can actually take on that workload, or at least cover things until you can get back.
Well, think about it. Like Australia's got a acting prime minister. That when the prime minister isn't here, they got the two. He's the 2IC, right? In sports, they've got
like a co-captain to the captain.
A co-captain. They've got 4 forwards that they can choose from. The squad is bigger than soccer. 11 players on the field. There's 20 of them, right? So that's a redundancy system. So just think, almost everything has got something like that. Police force, if 1 police officer's away, they'll have another 3 that are ready for that scenario. So in your training, in your business, in your processes, in your systems, it makes sense that you start to get somebody ready to go, hey, look, if I need to take some time off, you're cool. Think about it. A forced exit plan is you being sick.
Very true.
COVID is a forced exit plan. I get COVID, I can't do much for a week or whatever. Even though, 3 days you're cool, but technically the legislation tells us that you're supposed to quarantine for a week, whatever. Right? That's forced stuff. Does shit keep happening in your business? Probably. It's not as urgent as what people think they are. Even if the proverbial the shit hits the fan, usually it's not as life-threatening as what we think it is. You're not going to lose your business over one thing like that. Being prepared, I think, and giving yourself a buffer is really, really important. So,
okay, good.
Once again, what does it look like? It's important to design it. Now, if you're going to start to get yourself into that routine where you're taking, a week off every 90 days and then a couple of weeks at the end of the year, now, see, you've already extended your vacation. It's pretty cool, and the business can start working around it. So when you do, let's say, semi-retire, you can already start to go, hey, I've got a reason why I'm going to do that. That's important. Now, another part of the what is you need to fill your time up with something else. So what are you going to do once you stop working? For me, I've got plenty of things to do. So that's all cool, and I've already started that, whether it's, my hobbies of, renovating stuff and, refurbing the caravan or riding Harleys. I've got a ski boat, and I love, doing work around my house. And there's stuff, traveling, there's all of that stuff, that you can figure out. So you got to start to prep and go, maybe there's something that you've wanted to do. I could travel around Australia for a couple of years first, or I can, whatever, like to ease yourself into it. You can't just go from working and then tomorrow you go, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Because, either you're going to send your missus nuts or the other way around. So
that's interesting. My dad taught for many, many years, like 30 plus years. And he said a lot of the teachers that were retiring didn't have any hobbies or activities. Like the weekends for them over their teaching careers would be spent taking their kids to sport or doing their groceries or doing the lawns or just monotonous stuff like that. There wasn't really nothing. There were no hobbies or interests outside of work. And he said most of the teachers that retire would come back and then do relief teaching after 6 months to a year, because
That's good,
they're basically just bored. So they wanted something to do.
Most people are. And that's why with the exit planning, it's called an exit plan, not an exit, reaction. You got, you know what I mean? Like you got to figure out what you want to do, man. Like,
Yeah.
But within the business, think about it. If you've built a business that's so reliant on you for every single thing, always, you've got a bit of a challenge there, right? So you want to make sure that you're in the right planning phase. So
very much so. Great. Are there any other last points?
Yeah. So I've got the how. So we've spoken about the what, the why. Here's the how. So the how is, how will you start and how are you going to measure it? And we sort of just spoke a bit about it. Now, how will you measure it? No, you know what? I can take half a day off on a Friday. The wheels will keep going. I can set up my boys. I've got some tradespeople here. The plumber came this morning. He was the captain, and he set the guys up, and I don't know where he's gone. He's taken off. Same thing. There's a guy with the digger. He was here, and one of his other guys is doing it. The builder was here, and he had to go somewhere else. He's coming back. So, how do you start to set this up and start to measure it? Hey, you know what? I'm taking that week holiday. You know what? It's like with me. I rented a caravan to test out caravanning. Even though it was once, and I love it. It was great. It was a great thing. In turn, I'm rebuilding the whole caravan, but it's going to be brand new. And hopefully by December, touch wood, it's ready. And I'm going to take that and, slowly get into it. And it's really cool. I mean, my goal is to travel around Australia for 6 to 12 months. So, and that was going to happen like next year, but maybe delayed a year or so. But you need to get, like, I need to prep for that, the house, the work that I do. So in turn, I'm starting to back off from coaching, and, we're getting Up Coach Uni in play, and we got sales guys in play. All I'm doing is I'm getting ready for this. That's a part of the plan. So the how is important. And then one more is, when will you do it? And it doesn't have to be a hard date, but I think it needs to be a date range, to be able to go, in the next 3 years, I'm going to do this. Remember, we don't plan much for our life. We plan a lot for the business, the money, the strategy, the systems, the working with coaches like us, the sales, all of that other marketing, all of that stuff we plan for. But your life, you don't really plan for. You might go, hey, maybe it's time for us to get married. It's a bit of a plan. Hey, maybe it's time to get some kids. That's a bit of a plan. Hey, maybe it's time, but guess what? There's stuff. I mean, and this may sound a little bit, negative or dark or whatever, but you also, at some levels, kind of plan for your demise as well, because you never want to leave that on to somebody that has to go, I need to come up with 20 grand for a funeral, because that's how much they are today. It's ridiculous. Yesterday I was visiting, my nephew and my brother-in-law and my dad, all, one place at the cemetery. I was thinking about it, and we looked around, and I was there with the kids and my wife and that, and I looked around, I'm like, it used to end literally where our plot is. Now it's massive. It's like there's got to be another 1,000, 2,000 people buried there. So, wow. And I was thinking about, because today, when my mum, I think, bought the plot, she bought the plot a long time ago, and it was 8 grand or something. Now that same thing would be like 30 grand or 40 grand or something like that. Yeah, just I mean, it sounds crazy, but a standard funeral is about $10,000, with the casket and the people and into the whole thing, and the church and all of that stuff. And even if you're getting cremated, it's not that much cheaper, to be brutally honest. So, so, and that sounds a bit weird, but, this type of stuff, you've got to plan, what will you do? And an exit plan is post business or post job is a retirement plan. So you need to get ready for it. If you're 5 years away from it, you got to start to consider it. I'm not saying you have to, but you'd want to consider it at least, to go, oh, what do I do then? And I don't think that it's you're giving up on your business or whatever. I don't think it's that. To be honest, I think it's clever in the approach of, if you can get stuff ready, it's a lot better than if you don't get stuff ready.
I think people see businesses as this thing that they need to go and work at, they need to go and work on, they need to be there type thing. But really, a business should be a vehicle to provide you with other interests, to enjoy life with, or to fuel the life that you want to live. So I think it's about repositioning the outlook like you've been mentioning, in your own mind. And you don't have to sell your business, by the way. If it works really well and you don't have to
Correct.
be there, then just keep doing that, whether it's, managing the people, checking in based on your metrics and your CEO who's running it for you. It could continue to pay for your retirement, your trip around Australia, your investment properties, whatever you're wanting to do. You don't have to,
That's a great point.
there's not a finite, oh, you got to sell your business. Kind of like, if it works really well, why? Let's just let it to
Well, it's
funding
interesting.
the interests of life.
Yeah, look, it's interesting you should bring that up. When you think about something like that, there's a lot of people that would like to buy your business or our business, that would love you to come and help them for at least a year or two, just as I'm going to use the word, as a consultant, or you work part time in it.
Yeah.
And isn't that a great thing? You can go do 2 days a week, still love what you do. You don't have to go out. This isn't anyone that's listening to this. This is not about getting yourself out to pasture. Actually, far from it. It's actually setting you up so you don't go out to pasture, so you can do stuff that's really awesome. So you can set your own pace of what's coming. For me, I'm not saying that I wouldn't like coaching. And for me, I'm not really looking at selling the business. I want to be a part of it. I just want to have the choice to be able to go, hey, if I want to go away for 2 months, I could work from anywhere around the world, to be honest.
Yeah.
One of my goals was to live in Europe for 2 years. And the kids are growing up soon. Philip's 16, soon to be 18, 20. He's going to uni, doing whatever. And then me and Rose can go. I don't want to do it when I'm like 85.
No.
I'll do it now, So yeah, so that's kind of where it's at. So.
Great. Very good. If you wanted to wrap up today's episode, and I found today's episode really enlightening, it's a different way of looking at longevity for you from a life perspective and for your business as well. If you wanted to wrap it up, whether it's reviewing those points, Nick, or summarizing this, what would you say?
Yeah, I think it's important to just plan for it. If you plan, you're already informed. If you don't plan, you're going to be behind the eight ball. Simple.
There we go. Plan your future now. Sounds so simple.
Plan your future now, exactly.
But it's as simple as that. And even if you're stuck in the grind of it, you can still start looking ahead and going, you know what, how do I work my way out of this grind situation? How do I get to my 3-day weekends once a month like they're talking about here? So there is a way. If you need help with this, reach out to us at askitupcoach.com.au. Thank you very much for your time once again, Nick.
No problem. Have a great day.
See you all again real soon. Bye now.
Bye now.